Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to get into the recipes today that I have tested out this past week. I came across a section on Just a Pinch's website that is filled with blue ribbon winning recipes. And I tested out two that I kind of think are like kind of quintessential summertime dishes that were amazing. And then also a dessert that is definitely different than anything I've tried before. So I'm so excited to go ahead and show these to you. Let's go ahead and get on cooking.
The first blue ribbon recipe that we are testing out is for these Michigan style hot dogs, and it's basically a chili topped hot dog. So I am following the recipe for the chili topping, and to do that, I'm just starting out by mincing up a clove of garlic and then also doing a fine dice on one onion. I did follow this recipe exactly, but I did cut it basically in half, with the exception of the hamburger meat. The original recipe calls for 1.5 pounds, and I just did 1 pound and then did half of the rest of the ingredients, and it was absolutely amazing. So after I have the onions diced, I'm just going to add 1 pound of ground beef into my pan along with the onions and the garlic. And here is when I realized that even though I just got this from the store, it was still like kind of frozen, which I wasn't aware of, but I was able to break it up with my meat chopper. It worked really well. And then you just want to cook that until the ground beef is brown and the onions have softened. And then you want to drain out any of the excess grease and then put it back into your pan. And then you're going to add in the spices, which is going to be some chili powder, some crushed red pepper, a little bit of paprika, along with some chili sauce. And I'm showing it here because I've never used chili sauce, so I wasn't even sure what it looked like. And then also some tomato paste, which I kind of eyeballed because the recipe said to use 1 can, and again I was doing half, but there are different size cans of tomato paste, so I kind of just eyeballed that. And then it called for chicken bouillon cube, but I have the better than bouillon, so that's what I was adding in there, along with some water. And then you just want to let this simmer for like about an hour. And then I was keeping an eye on it and saw that it was kind of like drying out, so I added in a little bit more water and continued to let it cook on the stove. And then once we were ready to eat, I took my hot dogs and put them in the air fryer at 400 degrees for about like 5 minutes. And then I do toss them and move them around about halfway through. If you've never had hot dogs in the air fryer, they are absolutely amazing. The outside gets like a nice color to them, and they are so juicy. So if you're not wanting to grill hot dogs and you want a different way of cooking them and you have an air fryer, I highly recommend that. And then this is what the chili looked like when it was finished. So now we're just going to assemble the hot dogs. So I'm just going to take a couple of buns and put the hot dogs into them and then top them with the chili and then a little bit of some shredded cheddar cheese. And then I'm also going to show you, if you've never done this and you have extra chili, I love making a little bit of a dip by putting some cream cheese into the bottom of a bowl, topping it with the chili and a little bit of cheese and popping that in the microwave. It is absolutely amazing. The next blue ribbon recipe is for this crock-pot southern barbecue pulled pork, and this may not look like much, but oh my gosh, this recipe is incredible. So I'm going to start out by making the rub for the pork, which is just going to be some salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder. It called for poultry seasoning, which I didn't have, so I just used some Italian seasoning and a little bit of additional thyme based on the amount of Italian seasoning I had left. And then you're also going to add in paprika and some brown sugar. And then you can use any cut of pork that you want, any kind of roast, but I like to do pork tenderloin. I just remove the silver skin, and then you're going to rub that mixture all over it before placing it in the crock pot. And the reason I like to use the pork tenderloin is because then I don't have to worry about like skimming off or pulling off any excess fat, and it's just so tender and delicious. So if you haven't tried it before, it really is delicious. So I'm going to scrape in that extra barbecue mixture here, and then I'm also going to add in a little bit more on top from the bowl. Then I'm going to kind of show you what was left over. I didn't need all of the mixture that it called for, and then I actually prepared this the night before and then popped it in the refrigerator, and the next morning I went ahead and added in the water that it called for, set this to low for about 7 to 8 hours, and then here you're going to see this just falls apart beautifully. This pork on its own is incredible. So I ended up not tossing the barbecue sauce on all of it because I wanted to have some separate as well. But now we're going to prepare the barbecue sauce, which is a mustard based barbecue sauce, which I've never had. You're going to start out with some prepared yellow mustard, add in butter, along with some apple cider vinegar, sugar and brown sugar, and then a little bit of pepper. Now I did cut this recipe in half based on the amount that we were needing, but I honestly shouldn't have because we can store the leftovers in the refrigerator, and this barbecue sauce was amazing. We were a little bit skeptical because, like I said, we've never had a mustard based barbecue sauce, but it is so good. I cannot not even describe the flavor. It's so good. But you're just going to put that on the stove, let everything melt down, and then you're going to cook it. I had mine on about like medium heat for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then you're going to let it cool. And then here you can see I'm going to add some of that to some of the pork and then just toss it together before putting it on my bun. And I am telling you, you have to try this recipe. It was absolutely amazing. I wanted to test out one of the Blue Ribbon dessert recipes, and so we're doing these stupid cookies. I don't like the title, but I guess it said that they're called that because it's stupid how you can not only eat one, they're that good. And this is definitely a different kind of recipe. It is only 4 ingredients, which I love, but it starts out with Fritos that you want to kind of crush up any bigger pieces of. And these were really good. I do think it's not like a traditional cookie, but it's like a really great combination of like salty and sweet. It has a great chew to it, so I do recommend this recipe. I loved it. But then for the like base of it, you're going to melt together some sugar along with some corn syrup. And once it's melted together, you're going to bring this to a boil. And then once it starts boiling, and I started my timer from this stage here where it's boiling around the outside and you can see some bubbles starting in the middle, you want to set a timer for 1 minute. And the recipe says it's really important not to go past that 1 minute, or else the cookies won't have a good chew to them and they'll be harder when you're trying to eat them. So after it boiled for 1 minute, I went ahead and added in a cup of peanut butter and then stirred that well together. Now I will have all of the recipes in today's video linked in the description box below, so you'll have exact measurements there. But like I said, this recipe was really good. I was a little bit skeptical, but I love that it had just a few ingredients and I love the taste of it. And then once you have that melted together, you're just going to pour that over the Fritos and give that a good stir. And then at this point, you kind of want to work quickly because it starts to set up. So I just used a cookie scoop and then scooped them out on some parchment paper. And then once I had it scooped out, I just went through and kind of press the sides together just to make sure any loose pieces of the Fritos were combined in it. And then here you can see once they've set, I know it sounds like a different kind of combination, but it really is a perfect combo of salty and sweet. So I do recommend giving this one a try.
Thank you so much for joining me in my kitchen today. I really hope that you enjoyed seeing these recipes, and if you haven't done so already, I would love it if you would subscribe and join my YouTube family before you go, and I will see you in the next video.